purpose of them is to reduce catastrophic fire fuel loading and for the public's benefit. Under the grant, I retained a registered professional forester to assist with developing a work plan and processing the grant application. Landowners are permitted to do part of the work, and having my own equipment, I chose to do so. Some of the work was done by outside contractors. The grant contract sets a maximum reimbursement rate and provides for CAL FIRE to reimburse 75% of that contract rate. I am responsible for the other 25% and any cost in excess of that maximum rate. For each of the grants, my costs were higher than the maximum rate set and reimbursed by CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE inspected my property to verify that the work had been completed as set forth in the grant contract. Before they authorized payment, I've been reimbursed for the 2 grant contracts and work has been done on the 3rd, but no payment requested or received to date. There has been a lot of political theater and chatter about a 09 invoice for my work under the grant program and lots of speculation. But the fact is that the invoice was prepared by my forester to document my work and request payment by CAL FIRE at 75% of the contract rate. Again, my actual costs are significantly higher than the contract rate. It simply defies logic to suggest that I was attempting to hide my involvement in doing my work on my own property by creating a quote-unquote bogus invoice with my name clearly on it, from Nutting Brushing Clearing to Ray Nutting and signed by Ray Nutting. This program allows me to do the work on my property and to be reimbursed for that work. CAL FIRE was fully aware of what I was doing. Since this political firestorm began, CAL FIRE representatives have publicly acknowledged that my property was inspected, the work has been completed, and the documentation was found to be adequate. No additional information was requested. An independent audit of the CAL FIRE Prop 40 grant program was also conducted. I'm aware that as a public official, my assets and income, which may be materially affected by my official actions, must be disclosed. I also understand that I'm required to recuse myself from voting if I have a conflict of interest. I've recused myself in the past. In this case, I don't know of one single vote or action that I have taken part in that I could have any influence on my income under the CAL FIRE grant program. Not one, not ever. I was told by the district attorney's office in one of several meetings that I was required to disclose grant income. That was not my understanding, but I have filed an amendment statement with the Fair Political Practices Commission because the DA's office told me that my disclosure was deficient. I continue to believe this disclosure is not required. However, because there simply is no conflict of interest, I've requested that the Fair Political Practices Commission issue an opinion about the potential conflict of interest, whether I'm required to disclose this income. They've asked for additional information that I am compiling. When it's complete, I'll release a copy to the public. I have nothing to hide. I'm very disappointed that a fellow board member has jumped to conclusions based on politically charged accusations without even looking at the facts. To state I'm involved in a, quote, conversion of public funds, unquote, is inflammatory and frankly hurtful. It has hurt my family. I hope this is a simple case of poor choice of words rather than adding fuel to the political fire. He too is entitled to his opinion, but not to his own facts. I don't believe it's acceptable or fair-minded to take any action or reach any conclusion based on speculation and innuendo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nutting.
Mr. Chairman.
What public forum do you want to get up, open the forum, speak, you may.
I agree with Supervisor Nutting that we live in the greatest country in the world and we're all entitled to our opinion. I I've been county auditor for 19 years, and people often ask my opinion about government programs and government spending. It's my opinion that it's problematic for Supervisor Nutting to vote to allocate funds to our local resource conservation districts. And those resource conservation districts are members of a joint powers agency, the Sierra Coordinated Resource Management Council. I believe that it is problematic for Supervisor Nutting to apply and seek grants from that joint powers agency. I'm not an attorney, but it certainly doesn't look right to have Supervisor Nutting appropriating taxpayers' money, giving it to these resource conservation districts that are members of this joint powers agency, and then for him to apply for grants from that that joint powers agency. I have a copy of, and I'd love your board to take a look at it, and everyone to take a look at it. This is Supervisor Nutting's Prop 40 invoice from May 2000. It clearly states, of the above, of the cost claims, of the above, 0 was from my own labor. Supervisor Nutting signed a document that indicated that 0 of the costs related to this Prop 40 grant program for his own, were from his own labor. I don't believe that's an accurate statement. Whether Supervisor Nutting receives favorable treatment from this joint powers agency that's responsible for allocating these state funds, we won't know. We don't know, because this joint powers agency, which has 3 local members, is in clear violation of California state law. They're required to have an annual audit. The annual audit, you would think, would review the method they use for allocating these grant funds. But this JPA, and I would hope your board would write these to our local resource conservation districts, which we fund. I would hope we would write those resource conservation districts and try to get this JPA to comply with state law and have an annual audit as the County of El Dorado does and all the other local districts. Thank you.